Hello and welcome to a little presentation regarding customer co-creation. I would like to start the presentation with an icebreaker called the watch. Your participants should have a quick glance at their wristwatches, or if they don't wear a watch, then have a look at their smartphone. What you do is you ask them to look quickly at the surface, maximum 5 seconds, or the first screen of their smartphones, and then to put away the watch either into the pocket or slip it into the bag. Secondly, you ask them to draw from the memory the screen or the face of the watch or the screen of their smartphone on a piece of paper. So you need a pen and a piece of paper. And you will see that although they look at the face of their watches several times a day and at the first screen of the smartphone as well, what they draw differs to a wide extent from the actual reality of what the watch or the smartphone looks like. The idea is behind this is to draw the attention to the fact that we think we know things, we've done them before, or also we know people maybe because we deal with them very often. But finally, when it goes into details, when it comes to really design something or copy something, there is a big difference in the awareness I think I have of something and the actual reality. Then you make the context to customer co-creation, where you say, do you really know what your customer wants? Do you know the motives of your customer, why he or she buys from you? That brings us to the agenda, which you draw again on a flip chart without any timelines. Next, you have the normal process of, as I say, the flip chart agenda, then how to reactivate sluggish knowledge. So what do you remember from the last training, as well as maybe what do you know in terms of customer co-creation? Then you go back to what you had written down on your parking flip chart last time, and also have a new one hanging in the room in terms you have new things coming up. The targets for today of the transformation time is to have a more deeper insight into the customer's desire. Also see to what extent our customer is loyal, maybe, because that gives us an idea of customer co-creation as well. Defining new projects in terms of innovations or new processes as well. And of course, as always, enhance the cold calling conversation guideline. Customer co-creation, I had explained that to you in the video. So what you can show the video, of course, which is in English. You have the source down there as the link to the YouTube video. So if you do not really want to explain that in your own words, then you show that video. Just to show that chart here, to explain it one more time, there are 3 different ways of customer co-creation. One is crowd co-creation, where you use them social media and everyone using social media. So you have a lot of people replying to, let's say, your product. For example, every time we buy on online, we get a request for feedback, and that's what we call customer, what we call crowd co-creation. Internal co-creation is where you exclusively design new projects internally together with production, product developers, and so on. And customer co-creation is internal co-creation plus the customer. From the video, you know the 3 steps, the 3 basic steps of customer co-creation. First of all, bring everyone together in the room. That you can do also with agile methods, such as organizing a bar camp when you have a bigger group or more customers you would like to do customer co-creation with, or you organize a World Cafe. Basically the same ideas, or gathering new ideas, or you have a simple workshop or meetings like we used to have it. Any idea is selected, evaluated, and refined in the next step, and turned into, when positively confirmed, then you turn these ideas into real projects where you say, okay, we want to have really that and that project innovated, or try out a different process in producing product C, for example. And the third step is that you finally turn that into reality by an iterative process, which means it's more like a trial and error process, instead of producing a first-class product. You try, you invent, you go back you reinvent, you recheck, you change, and so on. So an agile way of producing or trying out new ideas. But whatever you do, make sure that you stay in touch with your customer. You give him or her feedback on what's going on. And that, of course, you can do online as well. The basic idea of customer co-creation is that the way of selling products changes completely in the VUCA world. So it is more and more important to know why the customer buys from us, in order to, and this is what we're trying to be nowadays, the seller is not a seller anymore, but the seller is a consultant who enlightens the customer. And here you see as well the context to the Kano model. Customer co-creation is an idea of a delighter. When you go and ask the customer and say, what can we improve commonly, you are surprising your customer. So in terms of customer co-creation, when you design common projects, you really have a perfect delighter, and like this also you increase the loyalty of your customer. Here is a proposal for a group work. The group work is called Make Your Product Greener. You split your participants into groups, and you go through the next 3 steps. So first of all, you make them imagine that their 2 more long-lasting or biggest customers talk together about him or herself and the product he or she delivers. And so just think of what they might say, and then try to derive motivations or motives why the customer buys from them. In the second step, you let the salespeople imagine as how to improve the product the biggest customers buy in a greener way. So either have a more ecological packaging or less CO2 emissions and so on. And they shall answer the question, who is needed inside or outside the company to support the idea of making a greener product. And in the third step, you let your participants design the first 3 steps as how they would trigger a project deriving from this idea. So this should be done in a maximum of 20 minutes, and the answers you gather on the flip chart. Now, the best practice finally is always transferred to the cold calling. You let the people stay in the group the way they are, and you let them try to form open questions they can use when calling a new customer. So in terms of a green product, for example, what do your customers expect in terms of environmental friendly production? This could be in terms of finding out about ecological desires of a new customer, an open question in the conversation guideline. Or in terms of customer co-creation, you could ask, what are added values for you when working with a supplier? Or what are your motivations to work with a specific supplier? Now, also here, according to the time left, you set a fixed time and you let your participants find open questions, which you transfer to the cold calling guideline and send it after the training to your participants. Here's something new for, for the new year as well. So try to make a card you always sent out, or a sheet of paper you always sent out at the end of your training for the call to action. So this card will always stay the same, where you say, okay, I want you to think of what will you have tried out until the next training from what you have just learned or worked out in the group work, and what is going to be your first step you will do within the next 72 hours. And then you finish the presentation. As always, you check how much time is left in a more or less feedback round, and then say thank you, and that's it then, the end of your training. So thank you for your attention and have a nice day. Bye bye.